Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be installing a mid-mount for a Volkswagen Beetle. This is one of the cheaper ones. This one was $39 on Amazon. The brand name is Empi. There are a few different styles of this mount. This is one that requires no welding. Some of the other ones like Gene Berg and I believe Eyeball Engineering require welding to the car. So that's one of the reasons why I chose this one, not just price. Although the other ones are very high quality and there is nothing wrong with using those. And Berg actually has solid aluminum spacers if you're going for total performance. And you want it to be rubber sometimes and then you want it to be solid, you could put the solid spacers in there. So that is a bonus. This has little pads. So what you're going to need to do this installation is a 13mm wrench. You're going to need some sort of light, flashlight, drop light, or whatever. You're going to be underneath the car. You're going to need some jack stands, and you're going to need a jack. I have other jacks, but I use this little jack to jack the car up to show that you can use this with basic stuff that you can buy at an auto parts store. With the car up in the air, never slide under it without a jack stand under the car. Too many people have gotten hurt pretty badly that way and even died, so I recommend never get under the car without a jack stand under it. I already have my car up in the air, and I have jack stands properly placed under it. So we can get to work and we'll slide under the car and take a look at where this goes. Okay, so we're under the car here. Got my flashlight to help out. And as you can see, there's the front stock transmission mount. It is held on by 15 and 17mm nuts. As you can see, this one's starting to split and it's starting to deteriorate. That will be causing some of my problems there, making the front of the transmission move up and down. To remove that would be kind of a pain because you're going to have to move the whole engine and transmission back to be able to do such a thing. So that's why I'm going with this option of the mid-mount. The mid-mount is going to mount, let's see if I can hold my light here better, to this bolt, this bolt, this bolt, and one over here. I believe the pattern is symmetrical. Sometimes with these cheaper mounts, they don't come with a longer stud. You may have to pull the stud out farther. It kind of just depends on the mount. And this one definitely has enough. That one feels like it has enough sticking out. And I may get lucky with this installation. So we are going to get started by removing the bolts, which is just simple, lifty-loosey, righty-tighty. There we go. And you can see I have a ground strap here that will need to be reconnected because that's your ground to the car. Make sure that sometimes these get connected from the transmission to this side of the transmission, which does nothing because this is encapsulated in rubber, so you're not grounding to the car. This is grounding the generator and starter and everything to the chassis. So if you're missing that, it would be a good time to replace that and put one on there. So I'll get to work on removing this. Okay, so you can see I have all the nuts off. There should be 4 total. I'm holding this setup on here. So there should be 4 bolts total here on the bottom that you got to take off. And they're off. Now this may require me to put a jack underneath the bottom of the engine and jack it up to move this transmission down so that these will sit. These nice urethane pads will sit on the frame. But we were going to check that out here. Let's get our light back here so you can see, or at least I can see. Let's try. I do not believe that there is a pattern to these. I believe they are the same both sides. I'm not sure. And they're not. They do have a pattern, don't they? Yes. So I will have to jack up the engine just ever so slightly, as it will not fit without doing such a thing. As you can see, just barely. So we'll get the jack under the engine, we'll jack the engine up, which will bring the transmission down, which means that this will have constant force on the frame horns. That's how this mounts here. is so it pushes up against the frame horns when you try and accelerate forward. So we're going to get the little floor jack and we'll put that under there. Okay, so you can see here I had to use my little floor jack with a piece of wood to place right underneath the oil pump here. That's the oil pump cover where the flashlight is, and there's a boss right there on the engine. My car has a deep sump. This is a 4-quart Gene sump, and I did not jack it from there as I don't want to damage the sump in any way, and plus this will give me a little more leverage. We're not trying to jack the whole car up by doing this, you're just trying to get a little bit of tension off of it. So we'll slide under there and look at it a little further in detail, but I had to tighten the little rubbers at the end fairly good and snug, which gives it like a little U shape and made it slide up there much better. And then I had to give it a little love tap and it slid right home on there. I don't have the bolts on it yet. You might have to take a file in your application and file the little bitty urethane bump stops, but each application will be a little different. So we'll slide under there and I'll try and get the camera set up so that you can see a little more. Okay, we're under the car here again, and let's see if I can get the camera here. You can see that the mount is up there, and that I have, let me see the lights here, hopefully that's not too bright, but you can see the bolts are sticking out just a little bit on this, and we'll try and get a little further back. That's just enough to get the thread started and it will send it home. This looks like I will have enough to be able to get this all on there, but you can see where it sits on the car and that it sits tight. Of course I have to put my ground strap back on, and we'll get to work on that next. Okay, so there's the final product. We have our mid-mount installed. There's just enough threads to get it on there if I happen to back anything out. You can see how the pads hit up against the frame horns right there, really nice and snug. I did have to jack the back of the motor up to make that fit in there, and I just had to give it a little gently tap and it slid right on. You might have to, depending on your car, you might have to sand those pads just a little bit to get a little extra clearance. Like I say, you don't want to jack the car up off the jack stands when you're jacking the motor up to get those on there. But this should help a lot with the wheel hop. This will also work really good for a stock car that's having the problem, like I say before, of the car accelerating and deaccelerating and like cruise like in first gear, just trying to creep through a parking lot. Or if you got a car like mine, it has a little more power than stock and a broken front transmission mount, this is an easy way to not have to pull the motor and transmission out to replace it. There are more traction control devices you can use to stiffen up the frame horns, and one that goes underneath the engine, and maybe later in another video we'll try and do one of those, but for right now this is this. So I'm going to leave this video right about here, and to say if you like the video, please subscribe. There's more videos I have, and I always come out with more videos every now and again. And don't forget to like and leave a comment, and I'll see you guys later. So let's get out there and get our old cars back on the road, and let's help somebody else. If you know anybody that needs help for the car, go give them a hand. You know, that may be the thing they just need to get their project rolling again. So I'll see you guys later, and see you when we make some more videos.